This is the Giraffes Don't Eat Steak podcast, a show that brings you marketing stories, tips, hints, and much more. A treat for those who want to succeed in business or marketers who just want to learn. Hello, Mitali.
Thank you for having me, Erica.
Oh, so excited. Welcome to Giraffes Don't Eat Steak today. So just for our listeners, we've got a slightly different format because Alex, who's normally with me, my co-host, is not available today. So lucky Mitali, we get to do just us having a chat.
Yes.
So I'm really excited to have you. Mitali, why don't you introduce yourself to the audience?
Okay. So I'm Mitali. I feel like I'm now at an AA meeting. Like I've been a business owner and an entrepreneur since 2013. I've owned my own publishing business since 2018. I just last week published my 51st and 52nd author.
Wow.
But I'm now moving into AI consultancy. So most of last year was spent immersing myself in this new technology, and it's pretty amazing what it can do. So I've now just received funding to start my latest business, which will be AI consultancy for purpose-driven brands and businesses. I'm still doing a little bit of publishing here and there because books are just, in my soul. I don't think I can ever completely give away books, but I will be focusing more on the AI moving forward. So that's kind of a very abridged version of what's been happening in the last 10 years or so in my life.
Oh, fantastic. And I think, well, it is like an AA meeting, you can say, America, and I love marketing, right? This is why we're here. And books, Vitaly, the reason you and I have connected and the reason we've chatted is around books. I haven't yet got mine published, but it's in the works.
Yes.
But talk to us why you are so passionate that books are a part of your marketing mix.
It was something I discovered, Erica. So I started my journey as an entrepreneur back in 2012, 2013. I opened up a freelancing copywriting business. So I was, well, content writing. It wasn't even copywriting originally. It was literally writing blogs and articles for a number of websites around the world. That
Okay.
moved into copywriting only because I started to get jealous because copywriters are paid more than content writers. I was like, why are they getting paid more? So I need to learn all this new thing called copywriting. So I got into copywriting. And then the reason why I got into books was what by accident, a happy accident. One of my copywriting clients asked me to write a book for him. And I remember thinking, why? Like, first of all, why me? I'm not a book writer. Surely there are ghostwriters out there that you can hire. And secondly, why? Why? Even back then, this will be 2015. So even back then, I was thinking, does anybody really read books nowadays? You have to remember, this was when Instagram had just come
Yeah.
out about a year or two earlier. The younger generation, certainly the under 30s, they were just online all the time. So I really didn't get it. I was like, why do you want me to write a book? But he threw a load of money in my direction. So I wasn't going to say no. So I was like, okay, if you're going to pay me loads of money, I'll write you a book, not a problem. But I discovered through him and then subsequent clients, I ended up ghostwriting 7 books in total. What I learned from those clients is that no matter how much you go online, in fact, the more online you are, the more people revere books because human beings are just, I guess, we're wired to appreciate things that are scarce, things that
Yeah.
are, like the reason why people love diamonds is there's not many of them on the planet, or at least there's not. I've heard stories about apparently there's loads of them, but De Beers is like actually,
Hiding
throttling
them under the
production.
mattress.
All of them, but that's a whole other conversation. Let's not even get into that. But apparently they're meant to be some, one of the rarest materials in the world, and that's why they're valued so highly. Whereas something that's in abundance that you find everywhere, you don't really value. So it's just human nature around the world. That's how we are. So what I discovered from them is the more content you have online, the more you blog, the more social media profiles you have and posts, which you still need to do. I'm not
Yeah.
saying now just write a book and don't bother with the rest of it. You have to do all of that. But there's something about writing a book that makes people go, oh, that's a real expert. That's a real credible authority in this,
Yeah.
whatever the sector or industry or field is. And that's why I thought, oh, that's interesting. So when it was in 2018, I decided to specialize in helping people write books. And the reason why was for that, because at that point, I had so much experience in copywriting that I could have opened up a business teaching people how to do email marketing, for example, or teaching people how to write great blogs, or I could have done anything, but I
Yeah.
chose to specialize in books because I really thought that's how you really make yourself stand out in a
Yeah.
world where every business owner has to now have a website and social media presence. Otherwise, you're just not even taken seriously. It's a book that makes you stand out. I do, before the pandemic, I used to do a lot of talks. And one of the things I used to do is I would get people to stand up out of their seats. And then I would say, I want you to, stay standing up if you have a website for your business, and practically everybody stays standing up. And I say, I want you to stay standing up if you're using social media in some way for your business. And one or two people may sit down because they mainly do SEO and they don't really do anything on social media. But again, most people have a profile for their business in some capacity. And I'll go
Yeah.
through a number of things. I'll go through things like, do you have brochures? Do you have business cards? And a few people will sit down, but usually most of the room is still standing up. And then I'll say, I want you to tell me if you've written a book for branding and for your business. And usually everybody sits down. You may get one or two people stay standing up. And what's quite interesting is sometimes the room will start applauding that person. I'll be like, that's interesting, isn't it? We
Yeah.
never do that if you have a LinkedIn profile. We don't go, well done, Erica. You got a LinkedIn. Well done. That's
I
amazing.
wish we would.
Oh, well done. You've got a website. That's amazing. We don't do that. And yet we do that when someone's written and professionally published a book. So
Yeah.
I thought there's something interesting about that. And I really felt, especially because I work with purpose-driven business owners, so I tend to be aligned with B Corp founders, social entrepreneurs, green businesses. They usually have a bigger mission and message that needs to get out there, which of course they are doing online because you need to do that in this day and age. But to have something in a book that really becomes their manifesto almost, I thought that's so much more interesting for me. And yeah, like I said, I published my 51st and 52nd author just last week. So it's gone really well since then.
Fabulous. And what do you see as, because I mean, I suppose anyone can write a book, right? But what are the biggest mistakes people make that you see when they decide to write this book?
Oh gosh, I'll be here for hours if I went through all of them. I would say probably, oh, what's the biggest one? Gosh, you're making me choose now, Erica. I would say one of the biggest ones, I wouldn't say the biggest, but one of the biggest ones is putting everything but the kitchen sink into it. I think
Okay.
a lot of people, you get this with singer-songwriters. I've got a number of musician friends, and you get that with singer-songwriters. Like they've lived their whole life and they want to put their entire life into their first album. And it's like, you've now got 35 songs. Like, no one's going to listen to 35 songs. You need to whittle this down. It's the same thing with a book. You need to be less focused on you and focused on your reader. What are they trying to get out of this book? And that's the key thing to remember. Unless you're famous and people are just nosy, then people are not really all that interested in your life unless it's in context with them helping them to achieve something, whether it's
Yeah.
in their business, their life, their relationships, their health, whatever it is. They're wanting to help you help them achieve something.
Yeah.
So, and through that, if you want to reveal things about your life, absolutely fine. In fact, that makes your book more powerful. Otherwise, it just becomes like a very dry how-to manual. So you definitely want to inject personality and your stories and your experiences, but only to serve the narrative that you're helping this person achieve something through this book.
Yeah.
So everything needs to be filtered through that. Don't just, and it's something I've battled with a lot of my clients. Put it this way, to date, I've never met a client who didn't have enough to say. It's more a case of they have far too much to say, and I have to distill and I have to tell them, look, you've got some amazing ideas, but we can't put this all into one book. It's going to look like an encyclopedia and no one's
Yeah.
going to want to read it. So we need to whittle this down to one concept that you really want to help people with. And then maybe the rest of the ideas can go into a second or third book. The last time I checked, there's no law saying you're only allowed to write one book. So several of my clients have come back and written second and third books. So that's possible. Another thing is all the extra material can turn into blogs and social media posts to support the book. So nothing is wasted, but just don't put everything into one book. I think
No,
that's one of
that's
the biggest issues.
no, that's a really good point. I was chatting to my mom yesterday, and she reminded me, oh, many years ago now, I wrote a book. So I actually have done one, but it was for the church. And what I did is that I think the church I was in was turning 100 or something. It was a big event. And what I did is I interviewed all the congregation, all the members of the congregation. And then I
Wow.
created this book of which had the history of the church, but then also had like life stories of all the congregation. And I forgot about this book. My mom just reminded me about it. But it made me think about the whole point is to understand the purpose of
Yes.
what do you want to achieve with this book. So that book, which I am now an author, I can say, that book was very specific. Like it didn't go further than the church. The congregation all bought their, I think it was 50p at the time. Like it was just a little fundraising just to pay for the printing, right? It wasn't a big deal. But everyone kept it and it was special. But the purpose was to celebrate the history, right? So that very specific. If it had been the purpose to raise funds, like if that had been the purpose, I would have probably taken a completely different tact, allowed maybe advertising space, or like it would have had a different focus. And I think for me, that's one of the questions that anyone thinking about writing a book should ask is what do I
Yes.
want to achieve? Again, I have a friend who wrote a biography sort of story of his life. And the purpose, it felt, and I was honest when I was asked to read it, it felt like it was an emotional dump, which was fine, right? If that's what you want, if that's what you have, the purpose of it is an emotional dump of what's happened to you and how you've survived and overcome, then that's fine. But if it's to profile your business, makes it like, then no, then it can't be about you. It has to be something meaningful for your audience. Sorry, I feel like I'm rambling, but am I making
No, no,
sense?
you're making a lot of sense, and I would say it's wider than. I mean, I focus on books, but now as I'm moving away from books, I'm moving into AI consultancy and AI strategy. I'm seeing that with some of the clients that I'm working with as an AI consultant. In the, they've obviously read somewhere that, oh, chatbots are in. I need a generative chatbot, or and it's like, but why? What do you want from this, and then let's work our way backwards, because otherwise
Mm.
just implementing AI for the sake of it, at best it's just going to be a waste of money, and at worst something can go very wrong with it and it actually damages your reputation as a business. So AI it's not like some kind of cure all, it's a tool, and we have to work out what is it that you want from this. Are you wanting, for example, from the marketing side, do you want more leads? Is that the issue? Are you not getting enough quality leads? Are you getting enough leads but they're not of high quality, so you actually need lead scoring? Or you're getting quality leads but you're not converting them, so therefore we need a better sales process, which AI can help you with? Or you're getting all of these but you're not able to fulfill demand. Now I have an
Mm.
operations issue, and can we make you more efficient? So because at the moment you're not able to take on, so definitely you definitely don't need more leads and sales here. That will actually cripple you. So it's understanding where your bottlenecks are, and then implementing AI to relieve that bottleneck, rather than just, oh, I've heard that I need a chatbot, or oh, I need my own large language model, or oh, I need this, and oh, I need that. And I get a lot of that, and I have to kind of peel people off the ceilings and be like, come on, let's, just because this is new technology doesn't mean you just implement it for the sake of it. What do you need? And it's the same. I mean, you're a marketer. I suspect it's the same with marketing. You
Right.
don't just want search engine optimization, or you don't just want loads of followers on Instagram, because that's not what you really want. Having loads of followers on a social media profile doesn't actually make you any money.
Exactly.
Having loads of people come to your website as well also doesn't make you any money. what's the strategy behind that? What do you want people to do once they get to the website? What do you want your followers to do when they follow you on Instagram or they follow you on LinkedIn? Or it's the strategy behind it. And it's the same with the book. I'm all about strategy. The first conversation I have with any of my clients is, if I could wave a magic wand, Harry Potter style, and we're now in the future and your book is published, what does the world look like to you? What are you doing with your book? How is it helping your business, your personal branding? Let's dream that, and then let's work backwards from that. And that way we write a book that fits that dream. Otherwise, it's like getting into a car, and just heading due north and hoping
Just
you'll get
following the road,
somewhere.
following the road.
Just following your nose and hoping you'll get to your friend's house. It's not going to happen. You need to have a map or your satellite navigation system on. You need to have a plan of where you need to get to. So it's kind of like everything. And I'm finding the same. It's strange. I was working with books. Now I'm working with AI, and people will be like, wow, they're two very different things. And yet strategically, I'm doing exactly the same thing. I'm having those strategic conversations with people and figuring out, what does the future, your perfect future look like? And let's work our way backwards from that so you get that perfect future that you want.
Yeah, that's exactly, as you say, the same conversation in marketing. I was approached by a client to say, I want a QR code. To do what?
Exactly. Like, that's nice. Yeah,
I'll give you one to put on your desk.
exactly. Exactly.
So talk to me about, what does an AI consultant do, Mitali, this exciting new business of yours?
Oh, I pretty much what I said before. It's all about, well, a good one anyway will help you strategize. A bad one will just say yes, whatever you want, and implement it, and then you're going to pay for it, and not in a good way. But yeah, a good AI consulting comes in and helps you work out what you need. This is a very, very, it's not a new technology. Actually, AI has been around for 4 decades. So it's not a new technology. But when it comes to business and using it in a business case, it's a very new technology. It's only really started to get going last year. 2023, people are just kind of going, what is this? 2024 was the year when people started to go, oh, okay, I can actually use it in business applications to make myself more impactful, more profitable, more efficient, save money, make money, etc. All the good things that we want in our businesses. But people are still, I mean, last check, there was over 20,000 AI apps. How do you, I mean, even as a business owner, you're already so busy. You're probably
Yeah.
already working far more hours than you want to be working. And then someone tells you, oh, hey, there's this new technology, and we expect you to just go out and study it. It's difficult. So that's what an AI consultant does. I spent most of last year, I think I was putting in roughly about 20 hours a week studying AI. So I've put in, just in 2024, over 1,000 hours of studying it, playing around with apps, finding out which ones are the terrible. There are some seriously terrible apps out there, by the way, which is it happens. Whenever there's a new technology, yours get a lot more crap, if I can say the word. You can say the good. It's just how it is. And there's some apps out there that are outright scams. They're not even fully fledged applications. They're designed to just harness your name and email address, and then they're selling the data on. So you can fall into so many pitfalls. So what an AI consultant will do is come into your business, find out where your bottlenecks are. That's the key thing. It's not about putting in a fancy chatbot just because you've asked for it, or doing some fancy thing that you've seen somewhere online. It's about really finding out where are your bottlenecks, and can AI ease those bottlenecks? And then what I do is I've got access to a team of implementers, AI implementation engineers, who can then come in and implement things. Or it could be something simple. It could be just literally me coming in and just telling you which apps to use and getting you all set up, and then you're ready to go. Or it could be something much more involved, where we actually need to design something bespoke for you. But that all comes out in the strategy. It's all about finding out what you really, really want and working your way backwards from that.
And some of my audience may be thinking, isn't this just ChatGPT versus DeepSeek?
I wish. I wouldn't have needed to spend 1,000 hours last year. And I'm still putting in 20 hours a week, by the way. So I'm now getting close to 1,500 hours of study in this area. So I wish it was that, because then I would have had more of a life last year, really. So no, it's not that. That doesn't even touch the size. ChatGPT is the big one, only because this is a story, by the way, that a lot of people don't know. ChatGPT wasn't planned. So the very first version that came out to the public back in November 2022, the 3.5 version, was not meant to be for public consumption. It was leaked. So then they kind of went, oh my God, it's been leaked. We best sort something out. So they've been on the back foot since then, really. But the wonderful thing for them is they became the name that, if you say AI to anybody, the first brand that people think of now is
Is
ChatGPT.
ChatGPT?
But absolutely, it's nowhere close to everything that can be done. First of all, people are not even using most of what ChatGPT it can do. Most people are just using it to write emails and social media posts. And, it's a bit like having a Cambridge or Harvard graduate and you're getting them to make a cup of tea every so often. There's so much more it can do. It can literally create, if you give it enough context, and this is again some of the things that I teach my clients to do, if that is what they need. If you give it enough context, it can literally map out your entire marketing calendar for a whole year. But people are aware of how you get it to do that. So even on ChatGPT, most people are not even 5% using it to its capabilities. So there's a lot more that can be gotten out of ChatGPT and other models like DeepSeek or Gemini, Mistral. Claude's my favorite, only because I seem to get the most creative answers from Claude. But it's a personal thing. I'm not actually saying Claude is any better. It's more of a case of you just finding, a bit like social media. Like some people do really well on Facebook. Other people love Instagram. Other people are really into LinkedIn. But the reality is it's more to do with where you feel your personality suits. It's the same thing, really, I'm noticing with these big large language models. They're all pretty good. It's more like personality wise, which one you feel that you just get on with the best. I actually use 4 or 5 of them, so whichever one I feel like using, and I feel I'm going to get the best output for different things, I will use. But that is just literally one category of AI. Large language models are one category of AI. Then you've got audio AI, you've got video AI, there's image AI. There's so many different categories, and all these categories are designed, so long as you have the strategy. So I keep going back to strategy. So long as you have the strategy, all of these models are designed to make your life easier. And what I find really exciting about AI, and why I got into it so heavily last year, is I feel that if harnessed correctly, AI is going to be the big leveling field for entrepreneurs. Previous to AI, I've always felt that if you had deep pockets, if you're a medium to large business, you had the money to create amazing videos to stick on TikTok that go viral. You had the money to create amazing images to go on, professional images to go on Instagram. And your average small business owner or solopreneur, they're just stuck there going, that's a bit unfair. Do you know what I mean? I got better ideas than you, but I don't have the money to pay a videographer. I don't have the money to do this and to do that. Whereas with AI, it's really leveling the playing field. You can now create a professional video with AI, and it's going to cost you about £50 or £40, and that's it. So, but a lot of people aren't aware of it. And when they are aware of it, because they don't know how to use it, it's a bit, I always say, anything, even something that's helpful to you, when you first come across it, it's a bit like stepping into a UFO. And you just got all these buttons and knobs, and you're going, I'm scared to touch anything because I'm going to end up in hyperspeed in another galaxy. And I don't know what I'm doing. So you get scared. And that's what I do is I find the strategy that's suitable for you and your business. And then I ease you into just the things that you need. We get rid of all the noise, because you don't need a lot of it. You only probably need about 3 or 4 applications maximum. That's all you really need. And that can revolutionize your entire business, from lead generating to lead scoring to marketing to operations to HR to recruitment. everything can be revolutionized, and you may only need 3, 4, maybe 5 different AI applications. It's not about having thousands of applications overwhelming you, and if you have staff, your team, that doesn't create any kind of revolution. Being overwhelmed never created revolution in the history of humankind. So it's all about getting rid of that overwhelm, finding out what you truly need, then only giving you the things that you truly need, and then training you, and if you have staff, your staff up, so you can get the most out of it and become as efficient as you can be.
Awesome. And how do you feel then about a author using AI to write their book?
I'm only going to speak as a non-fiction publisher because that's my forte. I've never written fiction. Well, okay, unless you count at school when I used to write silly poetry as a kid. I don't think you can count that. But since I left school, which was many decades ago, I won't go into that. I've not written fiction. I only write non-fiction. For fiction, I've got a number of fiction author friends, and I do worry. I worry about that. The AI output is so good that you do start to worry about the livelihood of fiction authors. But I won't talk any more on that because it's not what I do. Regarding non-fiction, especially in the world that I've inhabited up until recently and now moving into AI consultancy, I've been helping people become authorities and thought leaders.
Yeah.
AI is magical. It's absolutely magical. It's not a bad thing at all, because first of all, you can't get AI to just write your book because it's not you. It has to be laced with your stories and your experiences. That's what people are wanting from you. What I said earlier, these books are all about helping somebody achieve something, but through your story, being inspired through your story, understanding the struggles that you've been through, what you implemented that helped you, that they can emulate. You can't get AI to do that because it doesn't know you. So
Mm.
what my clients do is they use, and I show them how to use AI, but they're involved. It's more like having, I would say, a really, really clever assistant.
Okay.
That's all it is. It acts as a wonderful, clever assistant who is helping you brainstorm, giving you new angles, ideas, and going, hey, have you thought about this? And you're going, I didn't think about that angle. But yes, we should actually include this as well. And that's actually made me think of a story that I can put in with this. And it's just helping them brainstorm and get their books out of their heads much, much faster. This last 2 years, on average, my clients used to take around about 16 to 20 weeks to plan and write their books. This last year, that's dropped to around about 12 weeks. And some are doing it within just 6 or 7 weeks. By the way, that's not just full-time working on the books. These are busy business owners, entrepreneurs. They can only put in literally about 2 to 4 hours a week. And yet they're now getting their books done in a matter of weeks because they're using AI as an assistant. So from that point of view, I'm not afraid of AI whatsoever. I think what AI is going to do is what we just discussed earlier. The more content you have, the more people respect authors and books.
Yeah.
In the same way, the more AI you have, the more people respect the human that's in the loop in that book. They're not going to mind so much that you've used AI to help you. That's like, who cares? It's a bit like when people say, well, I've had some people say, Erica, it's like, oh, well, these people obviously still don't understand how AI works yet. But they'll say things like, oh, well, I refuse to read a book that, where an author's used AI to help them. I'm like, why? It's like, well, it's unfair. It's cheating. And so like, that's like, if you wanted to have a conservatory built or an extension on your house and your builder used like a bulldozer instead of knocking down your old extension by hand. It's like, do you really care? You just want your extension done. You want your new extension or your new conservatory. I need the old thing down as soon as possible. Would you care if your builder used some kind of machinery or whether he used his own hands? You actually, in fact, you probably want him to use machinery because he'll be there for the next 6 months trying to dismantle it by hand. So it's the same thing. It's like, what's the problem? Completely written by AI, I can understand. I can absolutely understand. But AI assisted, what's the problem? I don't really see it. It's not a problem. But fiction is a different thing. It is a different thing. I don't know. I don't really want to speak on fiction. I've met some fiction authors who are enjoying it. They're saying it's helping them with the creative process. But I've also heard from many fiction authors who are very, very worried for their livelihoods. So I can't speak to that because that's not my world.
Brilliant. So back to your AI business, who's your target audience, Mitali? Who's the ideal person who you can help?
My ideal person is the same as I was as publisher. So my audience
Mm.
actually isn't changing. The audience stays exactly the same, mainly because I know this audience. I've been serving them since 2018 and I love them. So I don't really see why I would go off and find a new audience. But
Oh,
I tend to
fabulous.
work with purpose-driven business owners. So sometimes they may be B Corp or social entrepreneurs or have some kind of label. Other times they don't actually have a label. They're just a business. But I just from speaking to them, I know when someone's genuinely purpose driven. I think sometimes that phrase is bandied around a little bit too much now. I mean, somebody back in 2017 thought it'd be really cool to say they're purpose driven and purpose led. Now everyone's got it. You see it on LinkedIn. I'm purpose driven. I'm purpose led. I'm like, are you really? I can usually tell within a 5-minute conversation whether someone's really purpose driven because you can tell there is a story behind the brand that is beyond making loads of money. And
Mm.
you can just tell. For example, I spoke to a wonderful gentleman just before Christmas, and he has a brewery near Yorkshire. Now he's not a B Corp, he's not a social entrepreneur. He has a brewery. It's a profit-making brewery, you know. So you would think not really typical of, a purpose-driven business. But what he's done is he's found out he's able to take the water that he's used to heat in the brewery. He can then channel that into his local swimming pool. So therefore, the council doesn't have to use much energy to heat the local swimming pool. So the kids can go and
Ah.
swim. I just thought, why isn't every brewery doing that? And he's like, I don't know. Every brewery should be doing this. That's ridiculous. I met another wonderful lady she creates outdoor gym equipment, but she's now moving into creating indoor gym equipment that when people are running on treadmills or they're doing whatever, the floors actually takes that energy and turns into electricity. I
Wow.
thought, oh my God, imagine. And then I gave her the idea, you should do that in nightclubs. She's like, oh my God, imagine loads of people dancing till 3 in the morning and that creates energy. So it's people like that. She's not a B Corp, she's not a social entrepreneur. It's people who just have these amazing ideas or a mission or just this need to help people and do something better. I'm excited by those people. And those are the businesses that I've been serving as a publisher. And now I will serve as an AI consultant. So sometimes I use the labels because sometimes people need labels. So I do on my LinkedIn profile, for example, I do say I work with B Corp founders and social entrepreneurs and ethical business owners and plant-based business owners. But then I always add in purpose-driven entrepreneurs because you may not fall into any of those categories, but that doesn't mean you're not someone that I think would be so cool to work with because you just have that bigger mission and it isn't all about just lining your pockets, really.
No, absolutely. If we could just go back to book publishing, and I know
Yes.
this is, I mean, it's your passion. Um, in terms of adding a book into your marketing strategy, some people do really well at the launch,
Yes.
and some people they have it out there, but it quietly slips into the background. What are your best tips for someone wanting to get a book out?
Oh, I only have one tip,
Mm.
and that is stop being so humble. Talk about it at every opportunity you get. I'm
Okay.
always amazed how many people write a book. I've met some people, and it's only about the fourth or fifth time I meet them, they'll say, "Oh, I've written a book." It's like, why do I not know this about you? Like, why have you not told me about this? And I'm a publisher, so you'd think they'd tell me. And
Yeah,
that makes me think that's even worse because that means if I didn't find out until the third or fourth meeting, that means somebody else is not even finding out until a seventh or eighth meeting if they ever get there.
absolutely.
So that drives me crazy. It's like you've created something. It's, using someone like me, like a book consultant publisher, we make your lives as easy as possible. In the same way with AI consultancy, that the whole point of any kind of consultant, book consultant, AI consultant, marketing consultant, it doesn't matter. The goal is to make your path smoother than if you do it yourself, because there's a lot of trial and error doing it yourself. But we're still not going to do the flipping work for you. You still have to do the work. So you still have
Exactly.
to write your book. You went through that. You went through that process of strategizing and planning and writing. Then you went through the process of editing and design. And why would you then not talk about it? I've seen so many authors with quite mediocre books. I'm not going to name any books because I don't want to be horrible. Name the books. But I've seen some quite famous books that have done really well. Extremely mediocre books, but have done incredible things for their author because the author won't shut up about them.
Yeah.
And then I've seen the opposite. I've come across some absolute hidden gems. And then I've reached out to the author and it's like, why do you not talk about this? Oh, well, I'm busy doing this and I'm busy doing. It's like, oh my God, you're sitting on a gold mine here. You need to be talking about this, you know? So that's the key thing. I mean, working with someone like me, we will create the smoothest possible journey, and we will allow you to create the best possible product for you. Beyond that, however, that's when you're out in the world, and we can't be. I wish I was there, you know, with a stick saying, will you please promote your book? But I'm not going to be there. And if
Yeah.
you're not going to be out there talking about it, posting about it on social media, I've got one client who's amazing. She does a whole year's worth of marketing, and she uses a website where she finds national and international days. And she literally goes through all, I mean, every single day is an international, national something day, let's be honest. And she finds all the ones that could somehow fit together with her book topic. And then each one of those, she's talking about a book topic, and then she gives a discount on that day because it's such and such national day. I'm like, good girl, amazing. She wrote a book. She published a book in 2019. She's one of the first sort of 10, 15 people that I worked with. And she's still dining out on her book because she doesn't shut up about it. And that's the attitude you need to have. Stop being so humble. And I've noticed there's a real difference I've noticed Canadians and British people can get terribly humble. The Americans are amazing. On that aspect, I have to say, all my American clients are very good at not shutting up about their books. But Canadians actually are worse than the British, I found. I didn't realize that. But the British are not far behind. You get very, very humble. It's like, stop being so humble. You've done an amazing thing, unless you're not proud of your book. And then guess what? Take it off sale, find someone like me, and let's repackage it and make it better so you are proud of it.
Yeah.
And if you are proud of it, then why aren't you talking about it? It's literally, I wish I can give you like a 30 or 40 tips, but there isn't. It's just one great big tip. Stop being so humble and stop talking about your book.
Oh, I love it. Love it, Mitali. Well, I think it's been an awesome, awesome chat. How can people get hold of you if they want to work with you, either for the book or your new fantastic AI consulting business?
Thank you for asking. So the book, you just go to theveganpublisher.com. So that's theveganpublisher.com. I'm slowly winding that down. I'm really going full throttle into AI consultancy. However, books are in my blood. So if someone comes to me with an amazing idea and a mission, such as this gentleman, he's looking to write a book later on this year, I can't say no to that. Someone who creates a brewery and then it's heating the local swimming pool, like that's just amazing, you know. So I want his life story. So anybody who has an amazing idea that they really need to get out there and help people with something, do get in touch with me. I will be now more selective, obviously, because I'm now focusing on the AI, but do get in touch. Just go to theveganpublisher.com, or you can find me on my LinkedIn profile. Just put in my name, Mitali Deypurkaystha, with that ridiculous surname. You will find me. I don't think there's anybody else apart from my siblings on Google or on LinkedIn with that surname. So you'll absolutely find me, or you can just put in the Vegan Publisher. Regarding the AI, just get in touch on LinkedIn. It doesn't even have a name yet. That's on my list of things I need to do in the next couple of weeks, is actually brainstorm with my AI, of course, and find an amazing name for my new brand. I've just got funding for it as well. I've got 25,000 to start the brand. So it needs to have a name pretty soon, really, doesn't it? So, but get in touch with me on LinkedIn. I've already started to take on clients. I've got 3 clients ready and waiting for me to start my brand. So yeah, let's talk.
Oh, fantastic. Listeners, you heard it here first. So get in on Mitali's amazing AI consulting business before the queues start. So
Exactly.
jump
Well, there's
in
a queue
while.
already. There's a little
Oh,
mini queue already. But yes, get in touch.
oh, fantastic. Mitali, it's been an absolute pleasure chatting to you today. Thank you for all your amazing tips and good luck with your venture. It sounds so, so exciting, and I can't wait to see what else you come up with.
Thank you so much.
Have a good day. Thanks, everyone, for listening, and we'll see you next week. Bye.
That wraps up this episode of Giraffes Don't Eat Steak. Thanks for joining us. I hope you found value in our discussion and got some new ideas to apply to your own business. Tune in next week for another round of marketing insights and inspiration. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave us a review and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. We appreciate you listening. Catch you next time on Giraffes Don't Eat Steak.